Welcome to this tutorial on mixing, sonic equalization or EQ, and effects processing in Virtual Praise Band. You can mix in Virtual Praise Band in a couple of ways. As far as volumes, you can do that by simply clicking on any track with the hand. Make sure you're on the hand by going up to the top right, and its move selection would be the thing to create for the cursor. Make it the move selection. Then when you move over any of the tracks in Virtual Praise Band, you get the hand. If you want to go down further and the tracks that you can't see right now, you go to the far right and just move that little mover value with the mouse so that you can see any of the tracks that are hidden. But you would just go to any track and you can move the track up or down by grabbing the little node in the middle of the track. And this brings the volume obviously down, in this case to 0. This brings it up to as high as it will go. And this is somewhere in between. And so you can regulate, while the live band is playing, the tracks in Virtual Praise Band to be at the correct volumes in that way. You can also double-click on any track and bring up its effects. So just like that, as simple as that, you have sound warping, distortion. You have presets on the bottom of each of these. As you can see, a wall filter, a low cut, a high cut, mid boost, high boost. You can also adjust these things yourself. And as soon as you start moving anything in the effects region, I recommend you go in here and play. You've got equalization, reverb, delay, all that. But as soon as you start doing anything, you can notice the power comes on that module. So you're actually able to use this just like every separate channel has its own effects rack. And in fact, it does. The time processor will show you how to use more when we're showing you how to do pitch and tempo shifting. But the compressor and reverb and 10-band equalizer. It's beyond the scope of this tutorial to show you how to use effects. If you don't know that, I suggest that you look on YouTube for several good tutorials about that. There are actually plugins, even if you have them on your computer, for you to use DirectX plugins from other programs such as PG Music, or the Sonitus effects from Cakewalk happen to be on here, or the Sony effects. So if you have DirectX plugins, you can actually use those in this effects unit. You can also use several effects provided by Magix if you have those. So it's quite a robust effects processing rack, and very useful for our purposes. And don't push apply, because that'll wed the effects to what you're doing. You certainly don't want that, but when you're done, you would push OK. I'm not going to do either of those. I'm just going to press cancel, because I don't want to add these effects to this track. But if you do want to, that's certainly one way to do it. Now, the other way to do mixing in Magix Music Maker, and as a matter of fact, it's probably a safer way. You don't risk accidentally marrying the effect to an individual track. Just by pressing M on the computer keyboard in Virtual Praise Band, you can bring up a mixing console. The mixing console has effects racks. If you double-click on FX, you'll get that same rack. The mixing console also has a mastering effects rack, and it also has a master limiter. By default, on most Virtual Praise Band tracks, the master limiter is on, but you may prefer for it to be off. You can also insert DirectX effects into two different effect sends on the mixing console. You can also bring up a mastering effects rack full of mastering effects and some presets that you may find useful as well there. Again, it's beyond the scope of this tutorial to explain mastering, but you can probably find several good tutorials on that throughout the internet. So those are the basics of mixing, effects, and EQ in Virtual Praise Band.